Do you play sports? There are a lot of great sports, but today I'm going to talk about basketball. It's my favorite sport because of how simple it is. All you have to do is dribble a basketball, it bounces back to you. And then you shoot it into the basket. But over the years, the game has evolved. Now you have a crossover behind the back and between the legs, and even the 3-point line.
But have you ever wondered where it all started? Well, to understand that, we gotta go way back to the year of 1890, when an old man named James Naismith created a game his students can play indoors when it was raining outside. He used a peach basket and a soccer ball. But the first big change in the game came in the year of 1906, where we got our first ever real basketball and a real rim. From then, players would be able to dribble properly and shoot properly on a real rim. It wasn't until 1949, though, that the NBA was founded. A draft system was introduced as the best way to select players for each team fairly. But the NBA really took off in the 1950s when civil rights activist Bill Russell joined in 1950. Well, in 1959, Wilt Chamberlain joined the league. Many people did not like them because at the time, the NBA was dominated by white men. And they thought it wasn't fair for black men to join the league. But no one could compare to the dominance of Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell at the time. Wilt Chamberlain was averaging 50 points a game, and he's the only player in NBA history to drop 100 points in one game. Many people don't think that it's real, though, because there was no video recording of the game. But Bill Russell, on the other hand, was an elite defensive player, elite team player, and was averaging 25 rebounds a game. But in the span of 10 years, only Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain were the only people to win rings at NBA championship. And Bill Russell would go on to end his career with 11 championships, while Wilt Chamberlain would go on to end with 1. But 8 of Bill Russell's championships were in a row, backed. The most in NBA history to this day. That's why they named the Finals MVP award to the Bill Russell Award to show how good he was in the finals. After their time, the NBA introduced awards like the MVP, Finals MVP, and the Defensive Player of the Year. But when they retired, the viewership went down. Many people considered this era of the NBA the dark times. There was a rivalry league called the ABA, which took some of the league's most biggest stars like Julius Erving, hurting the league's popularity. But around that time, about 70% of NBA players were using drugs. But one of the greatest basketball players ever joined the league in the 1970s. His name was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. At the time, he was 4-time league MVP, but a 1-time champion. But when he would end his career with the Los Angeles Lakers, he would have 6 MVPs and 6 Finals MVP and 6 championships. But his best record ever would be he was the all-time leading scorer in points. But it wasn't until 2023 that one man would break his record. Eventually, the NBA and ABA would merge, but it didn't have much success when it came to popularity. It wasn't until 2 players came along and saved the league. Their name is Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. In the 1979 finals, it had a peak viewership of only 8,000, but after Magic and Bird's arrival and rivalry, the NBA finals in 1998 had a peak viewership of 18.7 million viewers. Magic and Bird's rivalship didn't even start in the NBA. It started in college when they met each other in the NCAA final. But when they got drafted, they both ended up playing for the 2 best teams in the league, the Los Angeles Lakers and Boston Celtics. But they were in 2 different conferences, meaning they would often play each other in the NBA final. The rivalry was not special just because of their teams, but also because of their personalities and style. Magic Johnson was seen as a nice, kind, selfless basketball player and an incredible passer. Larry Bird was known as a tough competitor and a great scorer. But during their era, the NBA introduced new rules like the 3-second rule for offense and defense and the 3-point line. The biggest change was the draft lottery, where the 15 worst teams in the league would have a chance to get the first overall pick through a random draw. This was because this was made to stop teams from purposely losing to get better draft picks. As Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were approaching retirement, a new player emerged to take the NBA to another level, Michael Jordan. Thanks to his airness brand, he helped skyrocket the NBA the NBA global popularity, by the end of his career earning the name the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Because of his 6 championships with 2 different three-peats, he was a 5 times MVP, most valuable player in the year. And he was on a team many regard as the best team of all time, having a record of 72-10. And it wasn't until 2016 who's going to replace MJ as the face of the league when he retires. Many people thought it wasn't going to be Kobe, though, because what happened with him and Shaq. Even though they won 3 championships in a three-peat, they had a lot of issues off the court with each other because how different they were. Kobe was a hard worker and was always in the gym trying to get better. While Shaq, after they won a championship, he was a party guy. He would go out and have fun and come out of shape at the beginning of the season. So that made Kobe very upset because he thought he should be the star player of the team and not Shaq because he's always working and in the gym trying to get better so he can be the best player in the league. So Kobe went on an interview and called Shaq fat, lazy, and uninspired. Shaq said Kobe needs to stop talking about him before he hurts him. So many people thought that Kobe was not ready to be the face of the NBA because how immature he had a situation in Shaq. Because even though they had such a good team, they couldn't work on their issues off the court. But just after 1 year later, after Michael Jordan retired, a young man came, drafted straight from college, straight from high school, that many people call the GOAT, LeBron James, who's still playing to this day at the age of 40, but started in the league at just 18. Many people thought he was a choker in the beginning of his career because he couldn't shine at the biggest stages. When the games mattered the most, people thought LeBron crumbled, but he would prove everybody wrong in the year 2016. Coming off of back-to-back championships in 12 and 13, he lost in 14, and he said, I want to go back to my home, to Cleveland Cavaliers, where he originally got drafted in his hometown. But another player got drafted in 2009, came to change the NBA forever. His name, Steph Curry. Until Steph Curry's arrival, the league was dominated by centers, tall players who could score right next to the basket. When Curry got drafted, many people thought he was going to be a bust. He wasn't even going to be good because how many 3-points he shot. But he changed the game. In the year 2008, before Curry, the league leader in 3-point attempts was the Boston Celtics with 19.1. But 9 years after Curry, in 2018, the Celtics were again the leaders, but averaging this time 30.4. But now in 2024, the Boston Celtics are the leader again, but was 42.5. We can show the impact that Curry's made in the game, making 3-pointers such a valuable. People will nowadays give up wide open shots just to shoot 3-pointers because it's worth more than 2. But in 2016, Curry had an insane season. He became the unanimous MVP. And remember when I said Michael Jordan's 72-10 would be broken in 2016? Well, that was Steph Curry's Golden State Warriors going 73-9 and went on to make the NBA Finals, where they would play LeBron's Cleveland Cavaliers. But in the series, they would go up 3-1. In a first of 4 series, a win and go home, LeBron did something special. He led both teams in every stat on a way to coming back from 3-1 and winning the finals, becoming the Finals MVP. The first team to ever do that to this day. March, the NBA would go through its biggest challenge yet. Mid-game, the NBA had to stop a game and delay it. That game would never be continued because the NBA found out that someone on the opponent's team tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. The NBA was really scared, so they had to shut down for a period of time. They didn't think it would be safe to play sports at that time. It wasn't until July of that same year where the NBA will launch back up. They only brought the 8 best teams in the league with no fans at empty stadium with silence. You could hear the players' shots. If they missed it, if they make it, you could even hear their shoes running down the court. But in the end, when it was all said and done, LeBron James's Los Angeles Lakers won the NBA Finals against Jimmy Butler's Miami Heat. What many people call the bubble is remembered in NBA history because how different the environment was. But in today's era, many people feel like basketball isn't the same. It's softer than the 80s and 90s because players shoot way too many free throws because the refs, people think they're more biased to the offensive side than the defensive. People think that no matter what, the refs are just going to call the offensive players a better call rather than the defense. That's why people think there's no real defense in the NBA. But the man that would go on to break the all-time leading scoring record from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, well, his name is LeBron James, and he's still playing. But overall, basketball has changed. It has come a long way. From peach baskets to global superstars, it's a sport that everybody continues to evolve, inspire, and play. But in